Okay, we're going to continue from there, which is for example number 3. So example number 3 punya focus is actually on transfer usage. Okay, so if you look at the slide, there is a transfer usage slide, and this is the elaboration of it. Okay, so transfer usage in this question is actually where the company, which is PQ Berhad, initially they acquire one particular property and they use it as investment property. Okay, that was dated 1st of January 2004. So the value of that asset at that on that particular date is 48 million, and the remaining life was 20 years. So initially they use it as investment property. So on 1st of July 2004, the value becomes 50 million, and at this point they actually convert the property usage to become PPE. They are actually owner occupying it. Okay, so until the end of the period. So we are going to account for this transaction, okay, for this situation. So 1st of January 2004, we're just going to recognize it as investment property. Investment property. Okay, so the amount is 48 million. And then we are going to credit the bank or liability. Okay, 48 million. Okay, next, dated on 1st of July 2004, the fair value becomes 50 million. Okay, you have to settle this particular investment property in its original form, which means you have to settle the revaluation under fair value model. So you can see that the carrying value is 48 million, and then the fair value is 50 million. So the difference is 2 million. Okay, so we are going to recognize it first. So debit IP because it is revaluation upward. Okay, and the amount will be 2 million. And then we are going to credit gain on fair value because the value increased. Okay? So 2 million. Okay, then next. We are still at the same point. However, we are going to convert this particular IP to become PPE. So when you want to transfer usage from IP to PPE, it's easier, but you just have to credit IP. So I just use short format. However, in your exam, you cannot use short form. So the amount will be based on the current amount, 50 million. And then we are going to debit building or property. Bukan investment property, property. Okay. Tapi you consistently use lah. Kalau you pakai building, you pakai building until the end of the calculation. If you use property, then it will be until the end of the calculation. Okay, now that. So now this building is a building. This asset is going to be building. Means under MFRS 116. So why do we debit? Because we want to increase asset. Why do we credit? Because we want to decrease the asset. IP decrease, PPE increase. Okay, next. Now we have to treat the question. If you look at the question, you can see that they are using fair value model. Okay, okay, this is using fair value model. And then they mentioned that they use revaluation model. So being PPE, they use revaluation model. If you still can recall, MFRS 140, they have two methods. Subsequent measurement is either fair value model or cost model. So the company choose to use fair value model. And then for PPE, there are two methods as well, which is cost model or revaluation model. So the company use revaluation model. Okay, now, next. So we move to the next point, which is on 31st December. Okay, 2000 X4. Okay, we cannot depreciate at this point because you just convert from IP to become PPE. So you have to use that particular asset as PPE for one period before it can be depreciated. So now it's the time for us to depreciate. You will depreciate first before you revalue. Okay, when fair value is given to you. So accumulated depreciation. So now you are here. Okay, you are here. Your eyes should be put here. Okay, in order for you to calculate depreciation, you put your eyes here. It should be yellow. So when you put your eyes here, you want to find the value of this asset. So you can see that 50 million. However, you also need to find the number of years. Okay, so we just take dulu 50 million. We divide by year. Year tu macam mana? Can you just use 20 years? Cannot Because why? 20 years is before the period, which means you have already used it for, okay, the gap between 1st of January until 1st of July is 6 months. So I just put here 6 months. Okay. Where is my image? Image. Okay, and from here is also 6 months. Okay. All right. So now your eyes put here, and you can see that 20 years reduced by 6 over 12. But now the number of remaining life is 20 minus 6 over 12, half year. So that's the number of years that you have to use. So 20 minus 6 over 12. So if we just divide 50 million, divide by 20 minus 6 over 12, you will get a 1 year depreciation. However, your depreciation period is not 1 year. It is just 6 months, which means from the point where it is being converted to PPE until the end of the year, the period for you to depreciate is only 6 months. So you have to put outside there 6 over 12. Okay, which means this 6 over 12, okay, referring to the reducing remaining life. Okay, however, 6 over 12 here, referring to the between when it is being converted to PPE until the end of the year, which is the reporting date. Okay, so now how do you calculate it is, okay, takut tersilap. 50 million divided by 20 minus 6 over 12. Okay, and then this one times 6 over 12. Okay, sorry, 6. Okay, so that's the value. So you're going to take this amount. Okay. Okay, so done. 31st December, depreciation done. Now you're going to move to the next part. At this point, you already have, you are given the fair value. So you have to pick up the fair value. All right, so for those repeaters, as I mentioned earlier in the first video, we are not going to transfer RR to RE as we depreciate, because there are two types of company policy where you can transfer as you depreciate, or you can choose not to transfer. You will only transfer as you change usage later on. If let's say daripada PPE jadi balik IP, or during the disposal. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to put here the carrying value. Just nak reducekan the confusion. Ataupun nanti you selalu tersilap kat situ. So I tarik keluar yang tu. Okay. Alright, now the carrying value is what's the value of this asset? Okay, previously it's 50 million. However, it has been depreciated once. So the carrying value now would be 50 million. Okay, minus with 1282051.28. Okay, so I just ambil kat sini 50 million minus 1281.21.28. 1281.21.28. Okay. Alright, so that's the value, and then we're going to compare with the fair value, and the fair value is 57 million. Okay, so let's look at the differences. The differences between these two values is 57, minus this amount. Okay, good job. We cannot see the decimal. I just here. Okay, this one also are the decimal. All right. So how do we record it? So this one, untuk record revaluation, there are basically 3 methods in the standard. Okay, this is one of the method. Okay, so we're going to debit the difference to, okay, all right, building, because the value increase, the building, so we're going to take this one, and then we are going to credit RR, revaluation reserve, revaluation reserve, sorry, I write properly lah. RR means revaluation reserve. Okay, IP means investment property. Okay, right. So revaluation reserve this much. Okay, okay. Another things that you have to add is you have to debit accumulated depreciation as to remove the depreciation 1282.051.28, and then credit building. Okay, or shortcut dia should be macam ni. Okay, debit building. How do you get the building amount? The building amount is the comparison between yang ni 50 million with 57. So you just put here 7 million. Okay, and then you will debit accumulated depreciation because this asset has been revalued. So we are going to start new. The method that we are going to use is we are going to start new, where the accumulated depreciation will be removed totally. Okay. So the amount should be based on this one. Okay, what about the revaluation reserve? Revaluation reserve is the difference between carrying value and the fair value that we have calculated earlier. So which is based on the differences here. And then, okay, done. We have actually converted the investment property to become the owner-occupied property under PPE MFRS 116, where they use the revaluation model. So I'm done. Okay, with the explanation for example number 3. Okay, so if let's say you want to continue, okay, you want to continue to 31st December 2000x5. Okay, and what you have to do now is you have to further depreciate. So when we depreciate, okay, and we further depreciate, we are going to use the new value. Okay, where is the new value? The new value is 57. So 57 million. Okay, if you look at the timeline here, so we're going to extend another timeline. Okay. Okay, if let's say we're going to put here as 2020 x5. Okay, if you are at this point, you are here. You are here. So when you want to do your depreciation, so your eyes will move to the next point, which is kat sini. Eyes there. Okay, so when you put your eyes here, you can see that ada 57 million. However, you do not see any remaining life. So what you have to do is, you have to take it from here, 20 years, okay, minus 6 over 12, minus 6 over 12. Okay, so you can see that 2 minus 6 over 12, minus 6 over 12. And the gap here is 1 year, so no problem. You just 1 year gap. Okay, so what you can do is 57 million. 20 minus 6 over 12 minus 6 over 12 will become 19. So that's how you calculate the depreciation. So we take here 57 million, you divide by 19 years. Okay, so here we just take 57 million, divide by 19. Okay, so 3 million will be the depreciation, the new depreciation after revaluation. Okay, so all right, I'm done with the explanation for this investment property, which has been changed, the usage become PPE dated on 1st July 2000X4. Thank you. So for this part, I'm going to provide you homework, and it's already attached in the stream, where you have to try and calculate ataupun you have to prepare the journal entries for the timeline ataupun the information given to you, where you use that information to prepare the timeline and start preparing for the journal entries. So again, tutorial you have to do it in group, because FTW students, the most of FTW students very seldom submit tutorials. So I want to make it easier where you have to do it in groups. However, please submit the video link of your discussion. Okay, so all members should be in the discussion video. Thank you.